Alright, this is book number 1, numbers 1 through 22. Let's get started with number 1. What part of the expression below should be calculated first? So you would ignore the 8. You would zone in on the parentheses. Now these are braces. And then inside the braces there's brackets. And then inside the brackets there's then the parentheses. So that should be your first step, the 14 times 2. And then you'll add 15. And then you'll multiply by 22. And then lastly you add it with 8. So it'll be 14 times 2, which is letter C for number 1. Because parentheses always comes first. Number 2. Tara baked 6.5 dozen cookies. She sold 3 2/6 dozen of the cookies she made. How many dozen cookies does Tara have remaining? So, this is how much she had in the beginning, 6.5. She sold it, which is subtraction. Because when you're selling things, you're losing it now. You're gaining money, but you're losing whatever item you're selling. This is actually 3/6 because 1/2 is 3/6. We could do times 3 and times 3. Now you have 3/6 minus 2/6, which equals 1/6. And then 6 minus 3 is 3. So we know that it will be A. She has 3 1/6 dozen cookies left. For number 3, it says prism A shown below. The height of prism B is 2 times the height of prism A. The length and width of both prisms are the same. Well, what is the volume of cubic inches of prism B? So let's take a look at this. We know there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 long. 1, 2, 3. 3 wide. But prism B has a height that is 2 times this one right here. So that would be 4 because this one is 1, 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now all I have to do is calculate. I like to multiply the 5 and the 4. That makes 20. And 20 times 3 equals 60. There you go. So once again we did 5 times 3 because the two prisms have the same length and width. And multiply by 4 because it's twice the height of prism A. For number 4 it says, which decimal is equivalent to 41 hundredths? So the way you would read that is 41 hundredths. So that's 41 hundredths. There's no math really. The A is wrong because that's 41 wholes. B is wrong. C is correct. And of course D is 41 thousandths. That would be like this for the letter D, which is wrong. So it'd be C. There's no number 5, so skip number 5. Number 6. What number is equivalent to the expanded form shown below? So we know that's 200. No 10s, so I put a 0. 3 1s. So that gives us only either A or B now. And we know that after the 1 is always decimal. 4 tenths. So it has to be B. Because A has 0 tenths. And of course, no hundredths, and then 3 thousandths. So just go one by one. For number 7, it says, which phrase is represented by the expression 5, and then you multiply 5 with 36 plus 9. So which one shows that? The product of 36 and 5? No, it's not the product, because we know that that is addition and not multiplication. So A can be eliminated along with B. So it's the sum of 36 and 9, okay? And then multiplied by 5, which is C. It won't be increased by 9 because that would be 36 plus 9, and then increased by 9 would be plus 9. But instead it's multiplied by 5, so which is letter C. For number 8, it says the value of the digit in the hundreds place in the number 653,841 is 1/10 the value of the digit in the thousands place for which number? So let's go and write this number down, 653,841. The value of the digit in the hundreds place. So let's underline the hundreds. That's the hundreds place. Is 1/10. So it's smaller. So therefore the 8 should be over here for the new number because this is 1/10 of that new number. So it has to be 8,000. The only one that has 8,000 is the letter A. See? Because the 8 right there is in the 8,000s place, and that's the only one. So my strategy for this one is I wrote down the number. I underlined the hundreds place right there, which is the 8. And then because I knew that this number is 1/10, then this number has to be 10 times more. So I moved it over one place value. and that's why it's under the 8,000. And the only one that has the 8,000 is letter A. For number 9, it says the table below lists the number of layers of centimeter cubes along with the number of cubes in each layer in each of the 4 rectangular prisms. Which rectangular prism has the greatest volume? So all we have to do is multiply each one, because that's the area times the height, which is the number of layers. So this is 24, because 8 times 3 is 24. This is 25. This is 30, and this is 28. The one that has volume is letter T, because that is 30. For number, well, there's no 10, there's no 11, just for number 12. It says the decimal grid below is shaded and marked with X's to model an expression. Which expression could be modeled by this decimal grid? So we know it's multiplication. And I see the gray area, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know it's going to be 8 tenths times, and then if you count this way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4 tenths. So the one that shows that is D. But they did 80 instead, so it's 80 and 40. Because you can add a 0 at the very end if you want to. So that's 80 hundredths times 40 hundredths. For number 13, it says, what is the value of the expression 1/5 divided by 4? Because you start with a fraction, you end with a fraction keep. Remember, if you want to change that division to multiplication, you can. You just have to make sure to flip it, and it'll be 1/20th. Because 1 times 1 is 1, and 5 times 4 is 20. So it'll be the letter D. For number 14, says, Maya buys 5 yards of ribbon to make bracelets. She needs 18 inches of ribbon to make 1 bracelet. How many bracelets can Maya make if she uses all the ribbon she buys? So you have 5 yards, but she's trying to figure out in inches, because every ribbon requires 18 inches. So we have to convert yards into inches first to see how much that is really. And we know that we're going from big to small, so we multiply. So it'll be 5 times, and we know that there's 36 inches in a yard, because it's 12 inches, another 12 inches, another 12 inches, because there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So that would give us 36 times 5 would be 180 inches. Because 5 times 6 is 30, you put a 0 there, you carry the 3, and 5 times 3 is 15, and add 3 is 18. And so now we know that there's 180 inches in all. All we have to do now to figure out how many bracelets she can make is take 180 and group them into every 18, because every 18 equals 1 bracelet. So you can go into 18 once, and we know this is going to give us 0. Bring down this 0, so you put a 0, it can make us 10. So the answer is 10 bracelets, which is the letter B. For 15, the decimal grids below are shaded to model expression. So pretty much, this is 1 whole, 1 whole. This is 2 tenths with, so that's 0.23, because there's 23, because that's 10, 20, and you got 3 up top. So we have 2.23 plus 1 whole, and 0.9, which is 9 tenths. And so, or you could say 90 hundredths instead, because that's 90 little small squares that are shaded in. When we add that, that would be 3. 11, carry the 1. Decimal goes straight down, and that would be 4. So it would be 4.13, which is the letter D. So all you have to do is read it. If it's fully shaded, it represents 1 whole. And then every column is a tenth, and every small square represents a hundredth. So you take a look at this one right here. That's 2, because there's 2 fully shaded in. And then you got 1 whole column, another column, so it's 2 tenths. And you have 1, 2, 3, and you have 3 hundredths. On this side, it's 1 whole, and you have 90 of them. So, or you could just do 0.9. And just add it up normally. For number 16, it says which expression is equivalent to 3/5? That's 3 divided by 5. So that's C. Number 17, Tyler completely filled the box shown below with unit cubes with no gaps or overlaps. He then counted the number of cubes that he used to fill a box. What type of measurement is represented by the number of cubes Tyler counted? Well, he's trying to figure out how many he can fit inside, so that's called volume. So that's C. Because volume equals length times width times height, or we could say area times height, because length times width is really area. 21. Each student in a class plays one of three sports. You have soccer, volleyball, or basketball. 3/5 of the number of students play soccer. 1/4 of the number of students play volleyball. What fraction of the number of students play basketball? Well, we know that it will be 3/5 plus 1/4 plus something has to be equal to 1 whole, because it equals 1 whole class. So what we'll do first is we'll add all the kids that play soccer and volleyball first by adding 3/5 plus 1/4. We know the common denominator will be 20 and 20. This is times 4. That's times 4, so that will be 12. This is times 5. Times 5, that will be 5. So you want to add that up, that will give us 17 out of 20. So you know the remaining would be 3 out of 20. So the answer would be A, 3/20. So once again, I took the 3/5, which is the number of students playing soccer, add that with the 1/4, which are the number of students playing volleyball. We found a common denominator of 20. We added them up to give us 17 out of 20. So we know that would be 18, 19, 20. So it would be 3/20 of the students that play basketball, because 20/20 would be 1 whole. For the last one, 22, says, what is the value of 0.1561 rounded to the nearest tenth? So here's 0.1561, and we round to the nearest tenth. Here's the tenth. A good way is tenth has 1 0, so it's one number behind the decimal. You circle the number to the right of it. That's 5 or more. Let it soar, so it becomes 0.2. So it would be letter D.